Hello, hello. Hello and welcome. I am here today to talk about what can you do basically when you're in a stall. How are you going to get out of that stall? And I am here to give you some quick research-based tips on what you can do if you find yourself stuck in a stall. I decided to do this video based on a question by one of my subscribers. I'm going to read you the question. I'm not going to share her name. I don't know if she wanted me to or not. So she says, congratulations. Is there anything that's helping you more protein, eating more? I'm in a stall and I need to get out of it. And so, of course, I had some questions for her. And she said, I've been on this journey since May of 2024. Last month, I lost 2.2 pounds. It's still a loss, but it's going so slow. I look back at my weight loss history and I actually did better when I wasn't focusing on protein. It's a bit frustrating. Thank you for asking. So just let me say to start off, there's some great things that I see she's doing in her comments. She's been on this journey since May of 2024. So she's coming up on her 1-year anniversary, which is awesome. So she's in this for the long haul. Last month, she said she lost 2.2 pounds. I love that she didn't say only. I love that. So that just tells me that there's a mindset there. She said she looked back at her weight loss history and she actually did better when she wasn't focusing on protein. The fact that she is tracking her weight and she has a history that she knows, can look at, and all of those things, I think that's so important. So she's doing some things right. In order to be in a stall is weeks and months, but you're doing the same thing. Things have not changed. You're eating healthy, being consistent with what you were doing when you were losing, and you're also staying active. That is technically what puts you in a stall. So you're doing all the right things and you're still not losing. The one thing I could tell you to do is still stay consistent. Stay consistent with what you're doing. Your body just may be holding on to water, holding on to muscle, adjusting to what's going on. I'm going to give you some quick things that you can do when you're in a stall to help yourself. So the first thing you can do is evaluate your expectations. Weight loss is not going to just be quick, fast, and you're not going to lose 8 pounds a month or 10 pounds a month. You may lose 5 pounds a month. You may lose 2 pounds a month. I know that slow and steady is not what people want to hear, but I think especially if you are a type 2 diabetic, that's something you should get used to hearing, that your weight loss may be slow. Or what happens is at the beginning of a weight loss journey, any weight loss journey, the weight loss is fast. You're shedding those pounds. It's coming off so fast. And then all of a sudden, it's like a record scratch. You hear that record scratch. It's like your weight loss comes to a halt. And I think a lot of people have experienced that. And I think that's been the frustration for many of us, me included, right? The weight was just coming off. And then all of a sudden it stops. Have your expectations be reasonable. And typical, they say, now this is not everybody because remember, we're all different. But the typical weight loss timeline on Mounjaro or Zepbound is month 1 to 3. You can expect to lose 5 to 10% of your body fat. Month 4 to 6, 10 to 15%. And then 6 months plus, you could reach up to that 25%, 15 to 25%. I am a little bit over 20% of my total body weight loss. So I think that's amazing. I hold on to that non-scale victory whenever my weight is not moving. And if you guys go back and watch my video, you can see that my weight loss averaged 4 pounds a month. It wasn't that high 10 and it wasn't low all the time either. It was just kind of consistent in that middle over time. So hold on to that. If you've been on Mounjaro or Zepbound for more than 3 months without a loss at all, then it's time to contact your doctor and see what's going on. But people think that first month, I'm not losing, I lost 2 pounds. It's time to panic, and it is not. I would change that expectation. This person told me she lost 2.2 pounds in a month. I would say, okay, let's see how you do next month. Keep everything going, stay consistent. And then you might want to, when you get to that 3rd month, I would change some things up, right? I would change some things up. So how can you do that? Check your calories. I know people have calorie counting fatigue, but I do think you need a baseline of what you're eating. You have to know what you're eating. If you're eating 1,800 calories, keep track of that for a week. I use my FitnessPal to keep track of that. You might want to use that. You could use the Lose It app. That's a really good, helpful app to keep track of those calories. If you don't want to do that, I would take a picture of what you're eating, and then I would just calculate those calories for a day or two, ideally a week, right? Because that gives you a great benchmark in a week to see what you're eating. If that's too overwhelming, if that's too much, start with 1 day. And I always say on weight loss, rinse and repeat. If something works, do it again. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Do it over and over. And then you could basically build up over time to doing it more. But, if it's something that is going to give you a challenge, then don't start off doing it a lot of it, right? Just do a little bit. So check those calories. People always think of tracking your calories as overeating. I think you should track your calories so you're not under eating, which a lot of us are doing, right? Because this medication is suppressing our appetite. A lot of us aren't eating enough. And so I would track the calories just to make sure you're eating enough. That MyFitnessPal app is going to give you your macros. It does give you macros in the free version. Some people might be like, what are macros? Well, that's your protein, your carbs, your fats. It gets into more specific things on that MyFitnessPal app. It'll track your sugar intake, your fiber intake, all those things. Start there. If you're drinking your calories, like if you're drinking a lot of shakes and smoothies and things that's high in calories, I would get rid of all those things and just drink water. I would say 90% of what I drink is water, not with added oath in it, not with added Crystal Light or anything. It's just straight water. So if that's something that you can't do, some people say, I cannot drink a liquid without having some form of taste or flavor in there, then that's what works for you. That's what you would do. But I would say if you're saying you're in a stall, you want to try something different. So let this be something different that you try. Instead of adding stuff to your water, just drink the straight water and see if it works. The goal is to get out of the stall, right? Sometimes you can see if something's working, you want to continue to do it. So I know people who have done that to get out of the stall, just only drink water, love the way they feel, love the way their skin was looking, and then that's all they did. But again, like I said, I do realize people need that boost in their water to even drink it. So if that's what you have to do to drink the water, do it. So the next thing you can do is optimize your protein and strength training. This was a question she had for me. Am I eating more protein? Well, I do try to get my protein in. I'm going to show you. I recorded my screen. I don't get 143 grams, I believe is what I should have. I'm not getting that every time I eat for the day. But my goal is to get as close to it as I can. So how do you calculate that? Some people say 0.6 to 1.0 is what you should get per pound of your body weight. I've seen 0.6 in a lot of places, so I go with that because that's on the lower end. And so that 0.6 for me times my body weight is getting me up closer to the 140s, 143. So whatever yours is, you calculate yours and see what you get. And just don't try to be perfect. If you can't do it, don't beat yourself up about it. Give yourself grace and just aim for that. This is probably not the best example, but I think about throwing that at the target. A lot of times you don't make it to the target, but you make it close. And we'll take that. You still get points. If it's 50 points to get the target, you might not get 50, but you may get 30. You may get 30 of those points. So the goal is to at least aim for that. And eventually, hopefully, you will get there. Do some resistance training if you're just doing cardio. If you're doing 3 days, add a 4th day. If you're not doing any cardio and you're doing that resistance training, that strength training 3 times a week, add that 4th day of cardio to boost up your exercise. So I would do that. And that's what I've done. Like I'm telling you, all these things that I'm saying so far, I've actually done those things. Increasing your movement. It's like, I never want to hear that. Because I'm doing 3 times a week. I'm doing that 4th day when I can get that in there and pretty much consistently. I'm doing that 4th day. I remember the guy from DEXA told me, yeah, you can, if you want to eat 2,400 calories, you can exercise more. And I thought, no, I don't want to do that. That is an option. That is going to bring you closer to your goal and out of that stall. Of course, we know the 7,000 to 10,000 steps a day is another great way to boost your movement. Low impact workouts, just walking. It's getting to be springtime, or if you have an indoor pool, swimming is a great exercise because it takes that pressure off of your joints. And I know people who just love swimming to help get them moving around. If you're one of those people that, at work, you're sitting down a lot, maybe get a standing desk, maybe put some exercise equipment under your desk, and you could be doing a little stepper, vibration plate you could put under your desk at work. So those are some things that could get you moving without taking up a lot of extra time. It's like habit stacking, right? You're incorporating them into what you're already doing. So try that, increasing that movement. Also, you might want to review your dose, but I would review the dose after you've tried all those 4 things that I mentioned before. your expectations, your calorie intake, your protein, and doing that strength training. Now, if you've done all these things and they still have not got that scale moving, then I would look at your dose. Then you can look at the dose. I think one thing that we have to remember is we want to hover in those lower doses because I don't know, what is that fear about of people going up? I think for me, I'm not even going to speculate. I just know for me, going up to the 12 and 15 seems scary, right? Because I'm thinking, how much more powerful can this be? That's one thought. And then my second thought is, where am I going to go if I get to 15 and I still have a lot more to lose? I have nowhere to go up. So I think that we have to get over that fear, because as I'm learning more and more about this medication and studying things, I do realize that higher weight loss came when people were on the 10, 12 and a half, and 15 doses. During those studies, the focus wasn't on losing at those lower doses. And when we discovered that you can, of course, people want to hover down there. But if that's not working for you and you're not one of those people that can do that, then you have to move up. Don't be afraid to move up if your body needs to. Something else that needs to be taken into consideration is insulin resistance, or if you have some other medical issues like a thyroid issue, or if you have PCOS, any of those things will slow down your weight loss or possibly stop it in its tracks. So I would get that checked out. Talk to your doctor. Make sure that any of those things aren't a reason why you're not losing weight. The next thing you can do is manage that stress and get some sleep. Manage that stress by meditating, taking walks, going outside, taking in the nature. I know seasonal depression is a thing. Stress related to things you have going on at home, things you have going on at work. Are those things ever really going to go? I always feel like once you get one problem under control and you fix something, something else always happens, right? It's like getting your car fixed and then something in the house breaks down, and then getting that fixed, and then it's something in your yard, or it's always something going on, something you need to do. So you have to learn how to manage that stress, and poor sleep is really not going to help on this journey. I can attest to that. It's just going to help you stay focused. It's just going to help you deal with the stress better because you're well rested. Also, I would not eat late at night. I don't know when people are eating. I know the theory is in that 24 hours, as long as you're eating in that calorie deficit. I would say there's a lot to be said about cutting that eating off at least 3 hours before you go to sleep, because your food is digesting and you're giving it time before you lay down for that food to start that process. For me, it's like starting like a fast, right? The earlier you start into the night, and then you could keep that going to the next morning, I think the better. Now, do you have to do that? No, but I would give it a try if you're in a stall. Cut off that eating 7:30. The last thing I will say here is, if you find yourself in a stall, make sure you're taking your medication properly. Make sure you're not skipping doses. I understand when people miss a day. That's happened to me. I didn't take it on a Wednesday, then I took it on a Thursday. I don't make a habit of doing that. But let's just be honest. Life is life, and sometimes I forget. Sometimes it's so late when I've gone to bed. I'm like, I'll take this tomorrow, because I did not want the medication to affect me at work. So I would wait till I got home if I waited too late the night before to take it. But for the most part, I'm taking it on my scheduled day at the same time. It's just like a routine. And so I would encourage you to do that. If you're skipping doses, skipping around, not taking it on vacation, having a big event that you want to be able to eat and enjoy the food, and you miss a couple days, people do it and are successful. Remember, this video is about being in a stall. And if you're in a stall, I would do something different. So if that's something you're doing, just do something different. That's all. And it doesn't have to be for a long time. When you see something that works, I always say, rinse and repeat. That means do it again. I know people are stretching out doses and all those things. And if you're doing that and your weight loss has slowed down or stopped, that's probably why. So before you do any of these things, though, I would talk to your healthcare professional. Make sure that these are things that, are approved by your healthcare professional and somebody who knows your health history. So just my final thoughts after 3 months in a stall. If you have not lost in 3 months, talk to your doctor, but be sure you're tracking your food, you're increasing your protein, you're on the right dose, you're talking to a doctor, and you're getting some sleep, and you're managing all that. And if you've done all these things, again, like I said, if you've done all these things and you're still not losing, then contact your doctor and work with your doctor to come up with a plan. So I hope this helps anybody out there that's in a stall. You can do this. What I will tell you is work it out, do all of these things or a few of these things. And once you see something that's working, rinse and repeat. Do it over and over again as long as it's working. If it's not, change it up and do something different. That's what I always do. And that is what kept me losing slow and steady over time. I also want to add, we're having discussions about all things related to women's health, GLP-1s and weight loss on Wednesday. So join me on Wednesdays at 8. If you can't get in there right at 8, somewhere between 8 and 9, you can get in there and still join a live conversation, ask any questions you want. On Sundays at 2, I am weighing in every week and letting you know how much weight I'm losing. Join me on Sundays at 2. If you would like to have some fun on a Friday night, you are free to join me at 8:30 on Fridays. We're talking about all things related to dating, health, and wellness. So thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel. Like and share this video. Remember, slow and steady wins the race. Just don't quit.